Today's lesson is about adding and subtracting decimals. This should be somewhat familiar. The only difference would be the fact that some of these decimals will be negative. So today's lesson will focus on adding and subtracting positive and negative decimals. Alright, so let's review some things that we should already know. We should know that when you are adding or subtracting decimals, that it's important to line the decimals up vertically, that's up and down by the decimal point. So in this example, 12.3 plus 6.25, in order to work it out, the first thing I would recommend is that you put two decimal points, one on top of the other, because the decimal points should be lined up vertically. And then I would go back and fill in the correct values. So the first is 12.3, and to that we are going to add 6.25. If you've noticed, not only are the decimal points lined up, but I have my digits, the ones in the 10th place, also lined up. I'm going to add this. If I wanted to put zeros for placeholders, I could. I just choose not to, but if you're more comfortable with that, I suggest you stick to it. So now I'm going to add the digits and finally bring the decimal point straight down into my solution, and we'll see that the solution is 18.55. Again, this should be the review, the lining of the decimal point. The only thing new added to adding or subtracting positive and negative numbers is the fact that you need to remember your integer rules for adding and subtracting. Even though these are decimals, you still follow the same rules. If the signs are the same, we add. If they're different, we subtract. So we're going to start off again. I would recommend that you start by putting in the decimal points, and we're going to go back and line up the digits. And before I start adding or subtracting, it might be a good idea to look at your signs. This is a positive and the first is negative. Since the signs are different, really I'm not going to add these numbers. I'm going to subtract them since their signs are different. In that case, I'm going to have to add the 0. I'm going to begin the subtraction. So that'll be 5, 0. That would be 6. Bring the decimal point straight down. Now the integer part. I need to determine if this is going to be a positive 6.05 or a negative 6.05. By looking at the numbers, the absolute value of the positive number is larger than the absolute value of the smaller number. Therefore, my solution will be a positive 6.05. Let's do one more example, except this time we're not adding, we're subtracting. Remember, our subtraction rule is to copy, change, change. So really what I'm doing is adding two digits that have the same sign. And since they are the same sign, I can add the numbers together. Remember to line up the digits as well as the decimal point. Again, the signs are the same, so I'm just going to add the digits. Bring down the decimal point, and don't forget you're adding two negatives together. Therefore, your solution will be a negative 18.55.